You know that feeling when you're just a little off, maybe a bit anxious, or you've got those muscle cramps you just can't explain? Well, it turns out the answer might be hiding in plain sight, and it's all tied to a mineral that a ton of us are unknowingly lacking. So let's dive into what's being called a hidden epidemic, magnesium deficiency.
So just how big is this problem? Get a load of this number. Some stats suggest that a staggering 60 to 70% of people, yeah, you heard that right, don't get enough magnesium. That's more than half of us. It's a deficiency that's almost as common as vitamin D, but you hear way less about it.
And that's exactly why we're calling this a hidden epidemic. See, it's not just about the huge numbers. It's about a problem that is completely flying under the radar for most people, and believe it or not, even for a lot of doctors.
Okay, and this is where it gets, well, almost unbelievable. While the standard blood tests already show a deficiency in a pretty high 15 to 50% of people, some researchers believe the hidden deficiency, the part we can't even see, is approaching 100%. 100%. How is that even possible?
Well, the reason for this massive gap all comes down to a huge problem with how we measure it. The way we test for magnesium, it's actually really misleading. And honestly, this is the key to understanding this entire thing.
Just take a look at this. It lays out the problem perfectly. About 98% of all the magnesium in your body is stored away in your muscles and your bones. Only a teeny tiny 2% is actually floating around in your blood. And that's the only part a standard blood test even looks at. It's kind of like trying to figure out how rich someone is by only looking at the cash they have in their wallet.
Here's a fantastic way to picture this. Think of the magnesium in your blood as your paycheck, and the magnesium in your muscles and bones, that's your life savings. Now, if your paycheck suddenly got smaller, what would you do? You'd start dipping into your savings to cover your bills, right? To the outside world, everything looks fine. Your blood test, your checking account looks normal. But behind the scenes, you're secretly draining your reserves. That is exactly what your body is doing.
So you might be asking, why are our savings accounts so low to begin with? Well, this gives us a massive clue. Our Paleolithic ancestors, they were taking in around 600 milligrams of magnesium a day. But today, with our modern diet, we're getting less than half of that, only about 270 milligrams on average. We've basically been under-earning for generations.
Okay, so we're deficient. Big deal, right? Well, yeah, it's a huge deal. Let's get into the real-world consequences this has for your body, because this is where it really hits home.
Look, magnesium isn't just some minor player here. It's an absolute superstar. I mean, it regulates your nerve signals, it balances fluids inside your cells, and it acts as a cofactor, basically a little helper molecule in hundreds, literally hundreds of essential bodily processes. It even helps protect your brain from inflammation. Seriously, it's hard to find a single part of your body where magnesium isn't doing some heavy lifting.
So what happens when those reserves start to get low? The warning lights start flashing. Do any of these sound familiar to you? You know, those persistent muscle cramps, especially at night? A heartbeat that just feels a little off? Maybe blood pressure that's just stubbornly high? These are all classic physical signs that your magnesium savings account is running on empty.
And it's not just physical, not by a long shot. This, for me, is where things get really fascinating. The connection between our magnesium levels and our mental health is just profound.
I mean, listen to this. Low magnesium can lead to things like neurodegeneration. That's basically the gradual loss of your nerve cells, and neuroinflammation, which is inflammation in your brain and nervous system. And these aren't small things, they are processes that are directly linked to conditions like anxiety and depression.
And hey, this isn't just some theory. Check out this data from a recent study in 2023. They took two groups of people with major depression. Both got standard antidepressants, but one group also got 250 milligrams of magnesium every day. And the result? After just 6 weeks, the magnesium group showed a way bigger improvement. Now, it's not a magic cure, but it shows just how powerful a role it can play.
But here's the really good news in all of this. The path forward can be surprisingly simple. We are not talking about some complicated, expensive fix here.
You can actually start with a simple 3-step self-check right now. First, be honest about your diet. Are you really eating 200 to 300 grams of things like leafy greens and nuts every day? Second, think about your lifestyle. Do you exercise a lot and sweat regularly? Because that uses up magnesium. And third, and this is the most important one, just listen to your body. Are you experiencing any of those cramps, or anxiety, or other symptoms we mentioned? That's your body trying to tell you something.
So what's the magic number we're shooting for? Well, the official recommendations are about 350 milligrams a day for women and 420 for men. And like we already saw, most of us, we're not even getting close to that with food alone.
And that's where simple supplementation can be an absolute game changer. We're talking about 1 or 2 common, inexpensive magnesium tablets a day. That's often all it takes to bridge the gap between what you're eating and what your body is crying out for.
But what about safety? I get it. People worry about taking too much of anything. But the risk of an actual magnesium overdose is incredibly rare. Like, the documented cases involve people taking insane amounts. We're talking the equivalent of 100 tablets all at once. So for normal, sensible supplementation, it's considered extremely safe.
And listen to how one person who started supplementing described the change. They said, "It felt like I could slow down my psyche," which is such a great way to put it. It's like this calming effect, but at the same time, it came with more motivation and focus.
And this just perfectly sums up the kinds of benefits they experienced. Those nightly leg cramps? Gone. Focusing and switching between tasks? Suddenly easier. Recovering from a workout? Way faster. And just managing everyday stress became noticeably less of a struggle. These are real, tangible, life-improving changes we're talking about.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's pretty simple. Magnesium is an absolutely foundational mineral for both your physical and your mental health. It's vital for your muscles, your bones, and especially for your nervous system. And the hard truth is, most of us just aren't getting enough.
And that just leaves us with one final thought. We spend so much time and money and energy looking for these really complex answers to our most common health problems. Anxiety, muscle pain, poor sleep. But what if, for so many of us, one of the most common health issues out there has one of the simplest solutions imaginable?